Hey y'all, this is Coach in the Fight here. I got a special treat for you. I think I got a few treats for you, depends on how much the Lord wants to give you. But one of probably the main treat here is that we have my wife Stacy.
Shalom, everyone.
She is going to take over as the Hermas instructor.
Am I taking over?
Well, I don't teach Hermas as much as I should.
Because he's teaching so many other classes.
But and you volunteered for it the other day. I was already thinking about it, and I might have been praying about it when you volunteered about it.
I like Hermas. I like reading other books. I like the Old Testament, New Testament as well, but I like the other books. Give me a little bit further understanding of those books.
So you've read the Old Testament, or most of it. You read the New Testament. How much you read?
I've read most of the books.
Well, you got to be modest. So let me answer. You've probably read, I say, 90% of the Old Testament.
Yes.
The only books you haven't read is books like Habakkuk and Jonah. No, you probably ain't read all the Psalms.
I have not made it through all of Isaiah. That book is just so long.
Yeah, 60-some chapters. Yeah.
And there are a few others that I have started and I have not made it through.
They're the hard books. But you done gone through the Torah how many times?
Several
times. You've gone through the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You've gone through the whole most of the New Testament, all of it.
Most of the New Testament.
But you say you like the other books.
I do like the other books. I like Joshua. I like Hermas. I like the other books. I do.
What's different about those books?
I think those books bring out the Old Testament and the New Testament. They just bring it out. They make it. They fill in the blanks, I guess. That's what I would say about it. But I guess I would just say welcome back to Hermas Academy.
Welcome back to Hermas Academy. Been a while since we did some Hermas stuff. I'm going to go finish out that commands one. The problem, guys, is that the Third Testament is out and people want to hear about the Third Testament. When I went back to start doing the Hermas the classes on commands, nobody would look at them. Everybody started looking at the old, stuff. And I want to get through the Third Testament too. I've dabbled in a few chapters, but I want to start at chapter 1, verse 1 from that. So you'll take over as Hermas, or we'll work together. We'll see what the Lord decides to do. But we're going to do Similitudes today.
Right. We're starting with the third book of Hermas, Similitude 1. And in this book, we're going to see how this third book, the first chapter of Similitude, echoes Matthew 6,
really?
verse 19 through 21 and 33.
Oh, so we're going to have to pull that up too. Should I pull it up now, or you want to go right into Hermas? How you want to do it?
Let's go into Hermas, and then I think you'll see how it coincides with it perfectly.
Y'all, the teacher about to become the student. All right, y'all. All right, you got your own book. You got your own book.
I do.
Well, you got my book.
Right.
We're torn together book. Them books, they all split in half, guys. You got one that's split in half. I can do I think I did a class on how to tape them back together. But all right. So I got the computer. I'll be looking over here. You looking over there. I'll try to follow along. See what you go.
Okay. So we'll start with Similitude 1.
Right. And before you jump in, I don't know if you read what this is about. It says that seeing we have no abiding city in this world, we ought to look after that which is to come. You want me to?
And also, we should remind the people that to go back and look at, listen to the commands as well as the visions. But the commands more so because this is the same angel of repentance that's talking in command. It's the same one that is talking with Hermas in Similitude.
Okay.
So if they haven't looked at that class, they might want to refresh themselves.
All right.
On that as well.
So this is the third part of the book of the Shepherd of Hermas. You have, like she said, you have visions first and then commands. And she's right. It's very important to go back and look at that. All right. Do you want me to read the verse for you, or what?
Yeah.
You want? Okay, verse 1. And he said unto me, Ye know that ye who are the servants of the Lord live here as in a pilgrimage, for your city is far off from this city.
In this first verse, the angel of repentance is telling Hermas that basically this is not our home.
Right. And we hear that often. What do they mean by that? I mean, a lot of people say this ain't our home. We don't live here, you know.
Because
I mean, it's the same people that be talking about how we can't take it with us, right?
Right, because this is, as you would say, this is like a holding, like a place that we come to.
Yeah, it's a period of our evolution being here on the planet. You know, you read in the Third Testament that being here, you know, it's just a transition point. This is not our home, as you know, we're planning on going somewhere else. Everybody knows we're leaving.
I believe I heard you say this is a place where we come to learn.
Well, we learn about materialism. We learn about third dimensional stuff. We learn about spiritualism. We learn what's really important here in this kind of proving ground. And you know, we've all been here, for a while, and we learn, and then we come to a certain level of maturity, hopefully, and then we can move on.
Right. This is not our final place of habitation, I guess.
Right.
Let's say. Okay.
Right. If therefore ye know your city in which ye are to dwell, why do ye hereby estates, and provide yourself with delicacies and stately buildings and superfluous houses? For he that provides himself these things in this city does not think of returning into his own city.
I think that is saying that if we know that this is not our final habitation, if we know that this is not our final place, why are we putting everything that we have, everything that we got into this place?
Why are we focusing on it?
Why we're focused on this place? You know, why are we focused on the big mansions, the big luxury cars, the big luxury homes, and all of that stuff? If this is not our final place.
Right. Okay. All right. So you use that word superfluous. Let's see what happened. I think I can hit the synonym button. Look like somebody spelled it wrong. I don't know. It's what we're looking at, guys, is the text from the William Wake edition. I should have showed you that first. And I may do that, or at least give you a link. But we're looking at a translation, a PDF file that we found on the web for the William Wake. It was the William Wake edition, which is the same one that comes out of the Lost Books of the Bible and the Forgotten Books of Eden. Now, if you're online and some other places, you may find it, different versions. We have introductory classes. I think you did an introductory on this, didn't you?
I think so.
And it's posted, ain't it? So we'll link to that, to your introduction, where you go into great detail. You remember that?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. But let's see. I guess I got to change the spelling of the word.
Yeah. You got to put an E in there.
And then but the book has an E in there?
Yes.
Why this PDF file? No. You got the hardcover book, so you make sure this is right. Like I said, I pulled this down off the web somewhere. But it says extra, surplus, redundant, unnecessary, unessential, unexcessive, unneeded, or needless, or the synonyms. So it said why we're buying needless houses. Okay? Now, I go another word. But seems like you're gonna let me finish the whole verse. You don't want to stop in the middle, because I can read it a little faster.
It's up to you.
Well, if you want to jump in the middle of the verse.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, one verse at a time. O foolish and doubtful and wretched man, who understandeth not that all these things belong to other men, and are under the power of another. For the Lord of this city saith unto thee, either obey my laws, or depart out of my city.
Taking that, for the Lord of this city saith unto thee, either obey my laws or depart out of this city. Well, I mean, I'm thinking of the law.
Like man's law or the Bible law?
I'm thinking of the Bible law.
Right.
That do you see what I'm saying? Either take.
Well, yeah, you have laws that you have to but you have to pay taxes. You have to what other laws is it that he may be that? Well, there are a lot of laws, but what he's saying is that some of the laws that man have are going to contradict with some of the laws that the Bible has, and he's saying in this case, like I'm trying to think of one where the guy's going to tell you to leave his city. Well, in other places, they had them to participate in all of those feasts and stuff, which is really the essence of what he's talking about here. He's going to have you to do stuff to break the commandments. Well, none of man's laws. I can't think of any of man's laws that will force you to break the Lord's commandments, except some mark of the beast kind of stuff. That ain't happening.
I can't think of any either.
So what is he talking about here then? For the Lord of this city saith unto thee, either obey my laws or depart out of my city. He says, O foolish and doubtful and wretched man, who understandest not that all these things belong to other men and are under the power of another.
He's talking what he's talking about there is they're talking about the riches. All of these riches, all of these big superfluous houses, all of this neat stuff belongs to other men and under the power of another. For the Lord of this city said unto thee, either obey my laws or depart out of my city. So I think he's saying that either you have the choice of doing this. Because later on in the verse he's explaining it. Said, I guess is when you hear the recording, it makes it sound as if he's saying, what if the Lord of this city tells you to do something and it's contrary against Yah's laws? Will you obey man's law or will you obey Yah's law?
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So he's saying either, obey these laws or move out of my city.
Okay. And he said, what if you get that choice? Okay, verse 4 says, wherefore therefore shalt thou do who art subject to a law in thine own city? Hence, let
me say this. He's saying that you are subject to Yah's law.
Okay. Wherefore thou shalt do, what therefore shalt thou do who art subject to a law in thine own? Okay, thine own city is, okay. So the city that we're saying that this is not our city, but we have another city.
Right.
Over here we got these one laws. And that we go by over here, but what if the guy says, "Hey, do my laws or leave"?
Right. Mm-hmm. It's confusing the way that they have it written, but yeah.
Well, you're doing a good job of explaining. It says, "Canst thou for thy estate or for any of those things which thou hast provided deny thy law? But if thou shalt deny it and wilt afterwards return into thy own city, thou shalt not be received, but shall be excluded." Yes.
Okay, let's take some of the guys out and put you in it. What therefore shall you do who are subject to a law in your own city? Can thou for your estate or for any of those things which you hast provided deny your law? But if you shall deny it and will afterwards return into your own city, thou shalt not be received, thou shalt be excluded. He's saying that if you deny the law of your city and takes man's law, are you going to try to come back into your city? He's saying you're not going to be able to come back, you're not going to be received.
Right. Oh, okay. So we could mess up over here. We could do in playing around in this city, like you said, focusing on this city, we could actually do something that could hurt our residents in the other city, or when we try to go home.
It seems as if that's what it's saying.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying, canst thou for thy estate or for any of those things which thou hast provided deny thy law? Meaning, go with the taxes thing. Where are you going to get the money from to pay taxes if you are a servant of the Lord? If you are a servant of the Most High, And he says you work for him 24 hours a day, yet you want this luxurious house and this car. Okay, so now here it is, tax time. You're gone all year. You've been, riding on eagle's wings with, with the Lord, and all of a sudden these guys say you owe them $11 to pay for this house. Where are you going to get this money to pay the taxes from? You have to do something, right? You have to take action.
Right.
Okay, now what if the job that you have for the Lord requires that you not do that something? Like, meaning you can't just go, get a job and make the money, or you can't just go borrow the money, or you can't just go steal the money, or you can't just, go do this, because that will be in violation of the calling that's on your particular life. You can understand it would make you break, you know what I'm saying? Like if you are TD Jakey or whatever, and all of a sudden you got to come and do something that you were in disagreement with for the sake of the law, well, they may not let you back on that television show. You may mess up.
Right.
And that's what he's trying to say here, is that don't let your house and your car get you in trouble.
Right.
This ain't your kingdom. You don't live here. This don't get in trouble over your house or your car and suffer the kingdom.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Number 5.
See therefore that like a man in another country, thou procure no more to thyself than what is necessary and efficient for thee, and be ready that when the God or Lord of this city shall drive thee out of it, thou mayest oppose his law, and go into thine own city, where thou mayest with all cheerfulness live according to thine own law, with no wrong.
What do we need all of this stuff for?
Because.
Why do we need all of this stuff?
Because you are a material person. Because you're on this planet. You got to have somewhere, you got to have clothes on your back, you got to have a house, you got to have, food or shoes on your feet, you got to have food for your plate, you got to have a plate, you got to have a chair, you got to have a spoon, you got what you're going to do.
But why do we have to have the Gucci shoes and the Michael Kors purse and the red bottom shoes and the mansion and the yacht and the.
Well, let me tell you. Go back to I'm gonna say about 1981. We was on the basketball court and we was playing basketball hard as we could in our Pro Kids and our Converses, and we ain't even care. And then all of a sudden, here come my cousin, who'd have been up in New York City for all summer long, come in here with these Michael Jordans on his feet. And you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden the game changes. Everybody's focused on these Michael Jordan. And so what then happens? After 1981, people start picking on each other. They start picking on you as kids. Remember that?
Right.
And so those same people who were picking on you as kids, not only are they doing okay and, got the stuff, but the ones of us who truly got hurt, we got us some damn money now. We ain't worried about my mama. My mama ain't got to buy me now Pro Kid now. You know what I'm saying? I got to shoot $500 up under that bed. My mama ain't got to buy me no more Pro Kids. And so here we are, you know what I'm saying, when somebody get ready to pick on me, no, we don't get picked on no more, because, I got the Gucci stuff just like you do. And so that is just it. We are still children getting picked on as if we're, in the daggone 5th grade when you don't come out with your stuff. We may be 50 years old, but we still acting like we're 5.
So it makes us feel better as a person to have the name brand, more expensive stuff.
Yeah, it's not expensive, because if you can get a knockoff that look just like the real one and can nobody ever never tell, you would pay $5 for that thing. There's no way you'd go pay $500 for a bag that you could absolutely get the exact same one that nobody guarantees it. Y'all say, I'll tell you what, if they can tell that it's fake, I'll give you this one right here, which is absolutely real. He's like, okay, I'll pay $5 just for that chance. He's walking around holding up in people's faith. Can you tell it's fake? No, you can't tell it's fake. Okay. You go buy him about 10 more. You know what I'm saying? And give him out as Christmas gift.
Okay, it says, and be ready that when the God or Lord of this city shall drive thee out of it, thou mayest close his law and go into thy own city. So those are matter of fact words, when and shall.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. That's the thing about the tribulation period, what they call it Jacob's trouble, is that the Antichrist, when he rises up, he's gonna make Jacob do stuff that Jacob ain't supposed to do. The mark of the beast, worship the image of the beast, all of that stuff is forbidden by our Father. It's forbidden by our Old Testament. So we're going to get to the point where they're going to say, either you're going to do this stuff or you're not going to be able to buy or sell. Well, where are you going to get them taxes from now? Where are you going to get the tax money to pay for where are you going to get the food? Where are you going to get the car payment? Where are you going to get the house note? Where are you going to get the Gucci shoes from? Where are you going to get the money for this or where are you going to get the money for that? And so it's going to boil down to a choice. The lady said, people are having visions where they are being, held at, life or death situation on whether they're going to accept the mark of the beast or not, and that's what the scripture says. You are going to be forced to get it in one way or the other, not like with a gunpoint jabbed it in your hand, but when you are a single mom with all these little babies to feed, nobody around to help you, your mama can't help you, your daddy can't help you because they can't even help themselves. There's nobody reaching down to help you except the government who says, sign this document, let me prick your finger, or whatever, get in this room over here. What other choice are you going to do? You have no education on what the scripture says, the promises of the scripture, or how to attain those promises. So what are you going to do? You have no choice.
You have no choice.
So what does it say there? He says that when, what does he say? Procure no more to thyself than is necessary. What is he saying? He's saying if you only have the minimum stuff, then when it's time to go, you can go quick. Remember the lady, said that her shoes. She had so many shoes that she had to pack in bags or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. When it's time to go, that you don't have to be worried about this stuff.
Yeah, remember when we left Chattanooga, we had the biggest U-Haul truck that U-Haul rent, and we couldn't even get half the stuff in it. Remember that?
Right.
We couldn't even get half the stuff in it. And when we got down here to the house, the truck was bigger than the house that we were going to put that stuff in. Remember that?
Right. The truck was bigger than the storage house that we had to put it in, right?
And then the house that we live in now, not the storage house, the trailer, the mobile home.
Yeah,
when we rolled the mobile home up to the trailer, I'm using a little bit of hyperbole, but when we rolled that big old truck up to the trailer, remember Aunt Susie said the truck is bigger than the trailer.
Right. I'm saying that even when the stuff we put in the trailer, and then when we bought it down, we actually had 2 trailers to put it in.
2 mobile homes.
Yeah, 2 mobile homes to put it in.
2 single wides. Take heed, therefore, ye that serve God, and have him in your hearts. Work ye the works of God, being mindful both of his commands and of his promises, which he has promised, and be assured that he will make them good unto you, if ye shall keep his commandments.
So this is telling us to do what the Lord is telling us to do, to be mindful of the things that he's told us to do, and that he will work it out for us. Yeah,
I believe you're right. Then what do you think about the part they said, if you shall keep his commandments? He said, look, he used the words commands too, being mindful of both his commands, and then he jumps down there and says, if you shall keep his commandments.
Well, I think the commandments, commandments, the laws, the statutes, the ordinances, the judgments, all those things, is that what he's talking about?
Well, kinda, but look here, he says, being mindful of my commands. Now we know that the second part of this book is called commands, right?
Right.
So that's what he's talking about, being mindful of his commands. But then he's calls and keep his commandments. The commandments, that's Exodus 20.
Right.
So he's talking about both of them, the commands and the commandments. You know?
Commands and his promises, which he has promised. And if you shall keep my commandments, yes.
So you have to keep in mind of the commands and of the promises. See, if you forget what the promises are, if you don't know what the promises are, what's the problem? What do you probably think is the problem with that? If you don't know what the promises are.
If you don't know what the promises are, you have, I guess, nothing to look forward to, or...
Oh, you're going to look forward to something. You're going to make it up. Think about it. Well, if you don't know what the promises are, what are you going to do?
You're going to make up promises to fit what you want them to say.
Yeah, what else think about it. I mean, I know I kind of coached you into that answer, but what else are you going to do? If you don't know what the promises are, do you just not worry about any problem? Well, I guess that's the other choice. Well, that's what you said, ain't it? Just don't worry about it. Just forget about the promise.
Right.
And so you have a group of people who are, like you say, that are unaware that there even should be any promises. And so they ain't thinking about Yah at all. They like, whatever, man. Why would I even read the Bible? Why would I go down there with them folks? Why would I? They look at you with this weird, look on their face and say, why?
Yeah. What I think somebody asked you, was that cousin of ours asked you
what do I get out of it?
Yeah, what do you get out of it?
Yeah, it's like, what would you do? So if you don't know, if you don't know that there are promises, then you're in that boat. But then if you know that there are promises, but you're not aware of them, well, if you like, well, then you kind of make it up. My answer is actually not as good as yours, but that's what you do. You make it up. You like, I was supposed to have the Gucci, bag. I'm supposed to have the Lexus. I'm not supposed to be riding around, with an old, car. I'm not supposed to look like that. My Lord provides me with this.
Well, another one that we often get is the Lord's not going to let anything happen to those who really love Him.
Yeah, that's a made up promise.
Mm-hmm.
That's a made up promise, because you remember He said there's plenty of people going to be saying, Lord, Lord, and
you know what, often, and this is off the subject, what often comes to mind, and I was thinking about the other day, where people say, well, the Lord ain't going to let nothing bad happen to me, because, I love Him and I pray and all that. But I think about, His disciples that was martyred.
Yeah.
And Paul that was hung, and all the ones that
Paul
was
hung?
I don't know. Was Paul hung?
Oh, I thought you was about to tell me something.
Was Paul, his head was cut off or something like that, wasn't it?
No, Paul, I don't know.
I think it's Paul. Not sir. You might want to edit there.
We're gonna find out. This is the information age. You can look stuff up now.
But all his disciples that were martyred and stoned and in prison for years and years and years, and you telling me that the Lord is not going to let anything happen to you, and these people served Him both night and day.
Yeah. John was on Patmos Island. Don't nobody know what happened. He in prison. Right here in prison writing Revelations, and you think you ain't supposed to give up your Lexus. Alrighty. Death. The New Testament does not say when or how Paul died. According to the Acts of Paul, Nero condemned Paul to death by decapitation.
Well, we know John the Baptist was.
According to the Acts of Paul. Oh, the Acts of Paul. Oh, okay. It's a whole nother book. I thought he said Acts, but he said Acts of Paul. So what was you? I'm sorry. What did you say?
Well, I was thinking about John the Baptist.
He was decapitated.
Right.
Yeah. So you was right. His head was cut off. And you can find that in a whole nother book called The Acts of Paul. I'm not sure where that book is located. I mean, it's probably on that shelf up there somewhere, but which volume is in, I don't know. Tertullian, I know where that one is at. Tertullian, in his prescription against heretics in 200 AD, writes that Paul had a similar death to that of John the Baptist. So it was bad. Did you read that there or you knew that?
I think I might have read it somewhere. I'm sure I read it somewhere.
Other than right here before I got to. Okay. You're so smart. See, y'all, this your new Hermas instructor, guy. She ain't playing. She ain't playing. You know what I mean? She teaching teachers. You know what I mean? She got a lot to offer. You know, so y'all get some encouraging words in the comments. Keep it going. You know what I mean? Let's do this thing. All right, we're going to get back. We're almost finished.
Yeah, not 4 more.
All right, are we on 7?
7.
Instead, therefore, of the possessions that ye would otherwise purchase, redeem those that are in want from their necessities. As everyone is able, justify the widows, judge the cause of the fatherless, and spend your riches and your wealth in such works as these.
I think that's self-explanatory, where you're instead of taking your money and buying 10 Louis Vuitton purses, take it and maybe invite an older person over to dinner, or take your money and feed the homeless, or just do something for the people who aren't able to do things, that aren't able to do things for themselves.
I'm trying to think of a personal example, and I'm going back in my history. I'm going all the way back to the military. You remember when I was buying all of them, what were them things? Them cards, them baseball cards. I think I had a Sam's Club account just so I can go in there and buy them big boxes of baseball cards. You remember that?
I don't remember you
baseball and football cards. Remember the cards? I even brought them down here. And me and your brothers.
The baseball cards. I do remember that. And the white boxes.
The white boxes of cards. We had stacked boxes and boxes. Remember we put them cards in a safety deposit box.
Right. I do remember that.
Them Superman cards and all of that stuff.
Superman comic books. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be of value.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I didn't really care about them. I just thought, it was an easy way. It just makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I buy 1,000 cards. One of these cards in here gonna be of value, so just put the whole box in the daggone thing. Wait 10 years, pull it out, let's see what we got. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what would have happened? How would my life have been different if I'd have took that same $15, that I was spending on that box that week and just gave it to the guy outside, asking for money, or gave it to the church, or gave it to the widow lady or the orphan kid, bought somebody some ice cream or something. So.
Yeah, take those possessions that you would otherwise purchase, redeem those for those that are in want. Right.
How valuable are those cards really going to be if you think about it? I mean, the whole bank is probably going to be worthless here in a few years. For this end has God enriched you, that ye might fulfill these kind of services. It is much better to do this than to buy lands or houses, because all such things shall perish with the present time.
So he's saying that this is the reason that he gives people riches. It's not just for you to be,
have riches.
Yeah, strutting and people to be dotty over you and stuff like that. It's for you to do good with it.
Right, and we have free will, and we can do what we want to do with it. Right? Yeah. It's just not meant for, it's not meant to do that. But, that's the problem, is that we have free will. And so you give me, it's like right now, if you were to give me, a watt or whatever, what am I really going to do with it? If you're going to give me $1 million, of course I come up with all of these, good ideas, a lack of a better word, I'm going to give to the church, I'm going to pay off all my mama's bills, and you know what I mean? But when you actually put it there on the table, what you actually gonna do with it?
Right. I think I was listening to the Third Testament last night or this morning, where it was saying how the free will sometimes used against the Lord. Your free will
is always
use it against the Lord. Something that He gave to us, we use it against Him.
Always, yeah, you're right. We use it against Him. I mean, that's exactly. I mean, it's like Eve had free will to and Adam had free will to eat of the fruit that they weren't supposed to eat of, and yeah, from the first day, we've always used free will to get ourselves in trouble.
But it does say that this stuff will perish. It is definitely going to perish. So,
Talking about tribulation.
Talking about tribulation, right?
People don't understand that. This stuff about to get messed up. I mean, take a mental picture of it, and I say take a mental picture of it because your camera gonna be broke. You ain't gonna have no photo album to look at. Take a mental picture of it. We about to get naked here in a little while. Verse 9 says, But what ye shall do for the name of the Lord, ye shall find in your city. And ye shall have joy without sadness or fear. Wherefore, covet not the riches of the heathen, for they are destructive to the servants of God.
They are. They are. Every time funds come into our hands, we end up doing things otherwise than what we should. We don't take it and buy the seed that we need, or buy
a part to fix the what's name.
A part to fix, or pay tithes, or give to the widow, or we take it and we do other things for it that next week you're like, what did I do with that money? Mm-hmm. Or where did this here go? We do things that are destructive. Can you consider them destructive? But you buy cookies and candy and cakes and all that other stuff. That stuff is not healthy for you when you have the homemade stuff here.
There's a lot more than just food stuff. There's magazines, there's booze. Now, I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. It's the money itself, the cash itself, that causes the problem. That's where you ought to be thinking about it. You say, well, see, because you're sitting here now and you're not worried about anything that's going to harm you. But, you know what I'm saying, maybe it's because you ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? If you had a couple of $1,000s to come into your hands all of a sudden, where will you be tomorrow? Will you be buying, more chocolate than you're supposed to be eating? The money itself, you got to understand that it has images on it and it has curses on it. There's, a lot of, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. We'll say that for another class. Moving on. Or where are we at?
Number 10.
But trade with your own riches, which ye possess, by which ye may attain unto everlasting joy.
Now, what would these riches be he's talking about?
Let's go back up here. What are the other riches?
The other riches were, number 9. Wherefore covet not the riches of the heathen, for they are destructive to the servants of Yah. And then on 7 it says, spend your riches and your wealth in such reckless deeds, as far as justifying the widows, just the cause of the fatherless.
Okay. So when it says, but trade with your own riches, then those own riches could be only the riches you got from him, right? If it's not the riches,
possess, right?
If it's not the riches of the heathen, then it's the riches of the saints.
Right.
So what are the riches of the saints?
I think teaching. Could it be teaching?
Yeah.
Could it be sharing, witnessing? Should it be sharing God's word? By which you may attain unto everlasting joy.
Well, there's more than that. There's more riches than that. So that's what we were talking about earlier. If you don't know what the promises are, you don't know what the blessings are. Yeah. You don't know what you got. If you don't know what he told you he was gonna give you, how do you know when you got it? Mm-hmm. You don't know. It's peace. It's crops that grow. It's children that are healthy. Right. It's livestock that produce. It's the riches that we have is they're there. They're not just some, just believe. No. You know what I'm saying? I'll put my riches up against anybody's riches any day. You know what I'm saying? You come on and talk that junk all you want to. We can play big bank, take little bank. You know what I mean? I can show you some riches. They're just different. It's just not, I might have to explain them to you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? This is 12 acres of land, and there is value there. But so he's saying, but and that's a bad example because the guy's going, well, that's material thing. It ain't really yours. We just talked about a few minutes ago that this ain't our land. You're gonna come up, they're gonna ask you for that tithe money, and that tax money, you ain't gonna be able to pay it or whatever. But we can grow crops here. Our grocery store is, out in the woods. We get our snacks out in the backyard. The kids, when they want to go play, when they want some entertainment, we ain't got to go to Wally World. Or Wild Kingdom. We got Wild Kingdom back there. Let me be quiet for a minute. You can hear it.
It's just different.
It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's saying trade with your own riches, which includes Bible knowledge and, like you said, love and, that kind of thing too.
Okay, this is the last one, number 11.
And do not commit adultery, nor touch any other man's wife, nor desire her, but covet that which is thine own business, and thou shalt be saved.
Now that one was kind of like something that was like a through a wrench in there. Where did that come from?
Where did it come from? It's like we was going down one way, and all of a sudden, it's like, let me slide this one.
Is there like something wrong that would happen in the translation or something?
Somebody stuck this verse in it.
Right.
Is it in your book too? You better check it.
It is in my book.
All right, she got the hardcover book. I got an old Word document. I can change stuff up in here if I wanted to. Don't want to.
And do not commit adultery, nor touch any other man's wife, nor desire her, but covet that which is thy own business, and thou shalt be saved.
Well, let's go back over it. It says, but trade with your own riches and do not commit adultery. Mm-hmm. Trade with your own riches, which you possess, but do not commit adultery. Yeah, so let's come down here. Let's look at it a little closer. Nor touch any other man's wife, nor desire her, but covet that which is thine own business, and thou shalt be saved.
Mm-hmm. Now, adultery, it could be talking about scripture. Yah. It could be talking about Yah. But then when it throws, nor touch any other man's wife, nor desire her, that kind of feeling. Like if we would just say, and do not commit adultery, but covet that which is one's own business, and thou shalt be saved.
Do you think he's trying to somehow tie in committing adultery with your own land, maybe? I don't know. Remember the title of this section?
Let's see. We have no abiding city in this world. We ought to look after that which is to come.
So what does that have to do with committing adultery? You treading on somebody else's property. You know what I'm saying? You like what they say. What did Samson say? You plowing with my heifer.
Right. So let's see how this ties in. This first book ties in with Matthew 6.
All right, we're going to go to Matthew 6.
Let's go to Matthew 6, verse 19. And I think you'll see it very quickly. I think you'll pick it up.
I don't know. I'm learning some stuff today.
I'm going to let you read it.
Lay not up for yourself treasures upon earth where moth and rust does corrupt, nor where thieves break through, nor steal. I think you're absolutely right.
And 20 goes on to say, let's read 20 and 21 as well.
Is that it? Let me bump them up like that. It says, Matthew 6:19 says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
Okay, let's go to them 33 as well. 6 and 33.
But seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Yeah, I believe you're right. I can see that. So what do you think?
I think when he says that, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, that's what he's talking about. Going over here in 7 where it says, instead, therefore, of the possessions that you would otherwise purchase, redeem those things that are in want from their necessities, as everyone is able, justify the widows, judge the cause, the fathers, spend your riches and your wealth in such works as these. What do you think?
Instead, therefore, of the possessions that you would otherwise purchase, redeem those that are in want and from their necessities. Okay, what is that?
I believe it's up.
Lay not up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust does corrupt, where the thieves do not break them and steal. That's a good find, Stacey. That's like the same verse, huh? All right.
I think, but in close, I would just say to just to go back and to read, to get a good reading of visions, get a good listen to visions and commands, and I guess just join us for similitudes too.
Understand. Join us for similitudes too.